Now, I think pretty much everyone in here can agree that Zina and pornography is one of the biggest issues in the Muslim world everywhere. And I have to get you to ask this question right now. Why do you think that is? Because it's easy for us to sit here and say, oh, it's just because, like it's the sexual urge and because we have testosterone, because this, because that. But that's actually not the full picture. Believe it or not, I personally blame the families, the parents, for this pandemic. Now, obviously, in our religion, in our deen, we can't, extrapolate responsibility onto someone else. Everyone is responsible for their own sins. So this has nothing to do with Islam. I personally blame, on a sociological level, the parents who are messing up their children. And I'll explain exactly what I mean. And when I finish explaining it, I can guarantee you that you're going to agree with me. Basically, the basic understanding of psychology is that what is ignored, what is shamed, will come out in much darker ways eventually. I want you to imagine a young average Abdul who goes up to his family when he's like 17 or 16 years old and tells them he wants to get married as soon as possible. Any normal person like me, who's a genius and jacked and all these good things, any normal person who's smart in that situation will be very happy, because they'll be like, my son is afraid of falling into zina. He genuinely cares to the point where he can talk about this uncomfortable topic with me. And that pride, like in my case, right, I would be so happy that I would praise him for it, for being able to talk to me about it, and then I would see if I can get him married as soon as possible. That's how it's supposed to be. Because me, being a genius, I acknowledge the problems. I acknowledge that zina urges exist because I felt it myself, just like many of you guys. But average Muslim families, their whole strategy in life is to just act like problems aren't there because they think that's gonna fix it. So when an average Muslim guy at 16 years old says this, they will get really angry. They'll make you feel guilty for having sexual urges at 16, 17 years old, at the peak of your testosterone level, where your body naturally wants to reproduce more than any other time in your life. And they will make you feel guilty. What do you think happens in this scenario? Use your brain. Anyone who understands psychology 1% knows what this is going to lead to. This is exactly how people become rapists, pedophiles, necrophiles. It gets worse and worse when you get shamed for your natural urges. Especially this, because sexual urges are in the same level of the needs hierarchy as food, water, and shelter. So imagine you haven't eaten in very long time and you get hungry, and I tell you, you're a horrible person, don't ever tell me you're hungry, you got that? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna be like, oh, he told me that I shouldn't be hungry, so I'm just gonna stop being hungry forever? No, you're gonna say, oh, this guy's retarded, and then you're gonna go and find a bunch of really bad food, like McDonald's or something. You're gonna find it and you're gonna just consume the hell out of it. That's what's happening. This is why all Muslims are addicted to zina and porn. This is the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to admit. But this actually goes a lot deeper than this, because this whole idea of repressing our natural urges is such a big problem in the Muslim community. All Muslims have this idea that they need to suppress, they need to delete their natural urges of pleasure, having fun, sexual, whatever it might be, ambition. They think they have to damp it down to be in adherence to Islam and their culture. And the parents, the stupid parents, they keep it this way for generations and generations. So people become more and more messed up. Before you know it, all the Muslims are just smoking weed in the clubs, shisha, doing the exact opposite of what their parents tried to get them to do. Because the parents didn't let them talk about it in an open way. So they had to repress it. One thing you need to understand about human nature is that nothing ever disappears. none of your urges, none of your thoughts, they don't really disappear. You either have to transform them, you have to transform negative thoughts into positive thoughts, or you need to like find an outlet, like get married or something, and you stop feeling it. So I'm getting really worked up because this is one topic that pisses me off so much. Just because average Muslim families lack any understanding of basic human nature. But that's excusable because none of them had people online tell them these things. They didn't have Jordan Peterson. They didn't have, like Andrew Tate screaming at the camera. They didn't have like psychologists online say these things. So they just went off what their parents taught them. And it's the thing is, if their parents were stupid, they will still follow it. Because we tend to think that our parents are just automatically right about everything. So they never question them. So this is generational trauma that we need to fix and overcome. But it's not so easy. Because even you watching this, you probably have this weird idea that like Islamic culture, like I'm not talking about Islam, I'm talking about Islamic culture, like the Muslim societies are like ideal, and everything that talks about like emotions and mental health is this weak, like Western idea. And this is the big problem with us. It has nothing to do with Islam. It's purely arrogance. That's what it is. We are too arrogant to learn from these people because we think we are better than them. But then every statistic in the world shows that not every statistic, but every statistic as far as mental health and, like fulfillment and getting, achievement overall. Like when you look at GDP, innovation, it all points towards the fact that they are better than us in a whole bunch of fields. So why don't we adapt the good sides and leave the bad sides? No. These idiots in the Muslim community, they have to go towards extremes. No, everything they're doing is bad and everything we're doing is good. That's not sound like your family. And then some families go in the other direction. They become completely Western and they forget about Islam. So it's all stupidity. Nobody can find balance. I don't understand why. Like it's not that difficult of a concept. Now let's move on because I'm getting really worked up before I have a heart attack or something. Whew. I'm such a genius, man. Anyways, now let's talk about something positive for once. Imagine a family that's ideal. Like, what would be an ideal family situation for you? I'll tell you mine. My ideal situation is a bunch of based men living in this huge house, right? The men and women don't don't integrate too much. We all have our wives on the other side of the house. We live there and the boys hang out and they make plans of business. We hang out we're together from dawn to dusk. We go to training together, we go to gym together, and then we sit around and try to find ways to upgrade the life. We get a bigger house, more cars, everything. And the women are just like, they just do their own thing. Like, I can't speak for women, but I would say women just need to stay home most of the time, still hang out with family once in a while, and, just take care of the kids and try to instill the right ideals into the next generation. I think this is one of the primary duties of women. That is not possible in most Muslim families because they're too caught up in these stupid ideas of reputation, image, trying to look better than your neighbor and all this BS. But if you start getting creative, right? If you say, just imagine, there's 10 of my cousins, like all my family is living together in one house, and we outline these rules that make sure we don't start fighting and lie to each other. 10 men, super respectful, super honest with each other, and all contributing equally towards this common goal. Nobody tries to snake anyone because we put these rules in place and we trust each other. That's beautiful, man. But you can't really make it happen at this stage. And I'll tell you why. Because most Muslims live in a lie. Even if you have a bunch of Muslim friends like your cousins and stuff, most of them it'll probably get a little bit messy because they'll hide their true intentions. Instead of telling you they're gonna invest in this, they're going to go back and do it behind your back or something. Because they all live in a lie. There's no honesty. But if you pick up your balls as a man and you create a community, create a family that adheres to these strict rules where you all have to be religious, you all have to be honest, and you all have to contribute equally, now you can create your ideal life. I don't know about you, but those thoughts alone just make me really excited. In fact, I actually sit in an empty room every day and I think about this for like 10 minutes or 20, 30 minutes sometimes. I'm just like laying down, I'm just thinking about like how can I make this happen? Like what can I tell these people to make them feel like this? And it's like it takes a lot of creativity. But if you change yourself, you will be able to design the life that you want. But you'll never be able to do that as long as you're dependent on your family and your culture. This brings me to the next topic, which is about this person named Piaget. I don't know if many of you heard of him. He's one of the greatest psychologists of all time. So he created this graph of human development. So when you're a teenager, you are expected to sort of go with the crowd and just become part of your like culture or like whatever, right? And after you enter adulthood, there's this stage, the last stage of growing up. I think he called it the Messiah stage or something. So it sounds a bit weird, but hear me out. In this stage, you are supposed to integrate your culture. You have to become one with your culture. So for you, it'd be an Islamic or Arabic or whatever culture you identify with. And then you learn to transcend it. You learn to go against the ideals of that culture. This is something that's not promoted in the Muslim countries, right? Because you're not allowed to go against what your culture, what your family thinks. But this is the Western wisdom that they came up with, where they realized that at some point, people need to start contributing instead of just being a part of the culture. Otherwise, you allow people like your grandparents and their grandparents to keep ruling the society. And you might use Islam to justify it, but truthfully, most of those traditions aren't even Islamic, not even close. So let's stop trying to virtue signal and just be real for a second, okay? In this stage, this is the stage that very little amount of people ever reach. I'll take myself as an example. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I started identifying with my culture, which was Uzbek, Muslim, like all those things. I became one with it when I was like maybe 17 or 18. I took it really seriously. I was like, all right, so this is where my genetics comes from. This is why I do this. This is why I think this way. So I identified with it. But right now, you can see what I'm doing in real time in front of your eyes. I am transcending the culture. I'm creating innovation within the culture. And I'm doing it in a positive manner. I'm doing it in a way that's Islamically right. So do you understand how I'm part of the culture, but at the same time, I don't need to agree with everyone. I don't need to agree with the traditions. I can make my own way. It's a very, very, very beautiful example of this is this whole thing with weddings. Because in Muslim countries, weddings are like a big thing, right? Especially in the Asian side, where they need to have like a 30K, 40K wedding and they become broke as hell, right? And like it's just something that everyone follows because the same mentality is just like generational trauma. If some guy like me came out and said, all right, no, like this is stupid, this has nothing to do with Islam, and we're gonna stop doing it. And I'll start a movement of people that aren't doing it anymore. They're not having expensive weddings anymore. That stupid tradition would eventually die off. Eventually, within like a generation. But nobody does that because everyone's stuck with this mentality where they think if they question anything, they're a bad person. And then we wonder why we're broke. And then we wonder why Muslim countries are trash. You know? And there's some exceptions, obviously, like Dubai and UAE is doing really well because they have the understanding of innovation. But the Muslim countries, like, I'm not going to name any, I don't want to offend anyone, but a lot of Muslim countries, they just aren't progressing. And this has nothing to do with Islam. This has nothing to do with USA invading them 1,000 years ago. This has nothing to do with this. It's just a fact that they're too pussy to create anything. They don't have the cojones There's no more oh, it's because maybe. No maybes. It's just because of this. That's the final answer. That's the one thing that separates us from the people who are succeeding. Do you understand this? And again, I'm getting very offensive, but this has to be said at some point. Wallahi. And I want you to understand that as I'm saying these things, it might be hard for you to trust me, but understand that I've lived in both the Western culture. I was hanging out with many white people, Westerners, kuffar, for a majority of my life. I've spent my life with them. So I know all their accomplishments and I know all their problems. I know all of this. I'm a genius. Just trust me. So when I tell you that this is what they're doing right, you can't question me because you probably haven't been as close with them as I have. And I also know what they're doing wrong. If I was making videos for Westerners telling them how Islam can fix their problems, I could do that as well. I could do that a lot more. But I'm just trying to help you, so don't get angry at me, okay? Otherwise, I'll just have to knock you out or something, and I don't want to have to do that. Now, no matter what I say on here, a certain amount of people who watch me aren't going to succeed. Because family mindset is powerful. It's very difficult for anyone to question their family, especially just because some guy on Spotify told them to. That's weird, right? But a few of you who can think for themselves will eventually do it. But the most difficult thing for anyone to do, especially a Muslim, is to go from working class to upper class. And this is a very interesting topic because we have these three topics, right? We have these three classes, right? Lower class, working class, and upper class. And people stop talking about it because it's offensive. But it used to be a very big part of England and capitalism. It still is. We just don't talk about it. Every single time working class people try to progress into high class, something stops them. You want to think about what that is. It's trauma and insecurity. Deep down, these working class people, especially some Muslims, they don't want to succeed. They spend their whole life, all their energy for money. Like maybe your father does this, right? He works for money his whole life. He sacrifices everything, his deen, his family, everything for work. Fair enough, that's respectable. Except for the deen part. But the problem happens when he has the opportunity to not have to sacrifice as much, when he can move up to the next class by buying assets and stop buying like stupid interest-based liabilities. Everybody can do this, but I've seen it 100,000 times. Just trust me. 99% of people in the working class will forego that opportunity because they realize that if they don't have to work, then they're useless and the insecurities come back out. They want to keep working. Do you understand that? They want to keep working. That's their mindset, their whole pride. If they don't need to work anymore, they feel like they're going to become useless. So, what do? Say you live in a family of 5 people and you all start making a ton of money. So you're all making like $100,000 each. The family income is $500,000. Guess what? They're still going to be working class. Most working class people. Because they will buy a huge house on mortgage. And they'll pay twice the amount of that house because of interest. They will buy a car on interest as well. Because $500,000 doesn't come right away. It comes over time, and plus you got taxes. So they're like, oh, I want this car. I make a lot of money, but why can't I afford it? And that's when their insecurities kick in. Like, I'm a good boy. I can't afford it. I'm a G. I can afford it. And instead of being a genius and just investing in assets first, they will become impulsive. And they will say, oh, if I buy this asset, this apartment, it's going to take me this many years. It's only bringing in this much. I won't be able to buy this for the next 3-5 years. I want it now. It's emotions, impulsivity. So they make these stupid ass decisions. They buy this car, they buy this house that they can't afford yet. And because of that, they will stay poor for their entire life. Because what happens when you buy things for interest? You have to keep working. So you do a full circle back into the working class. They're all dumbasses, bro. They're dummies. I'm smart. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Excuse me. But yeah, I get very worked up about this topic. You have to excuse me. I want to give a quick example from my life because, as we've already established, I'm a genius, jacked, financially literate, and a bunch of other good things. So, I started an MMA tutoring business a little while ago when I got like a pretty good reputation for being a good fighter, basically. And I started teaching martial arts on this website. And because I'm brown, this is the first thing I did. I looked at how much other MMA tutors were charging. And I noticed they were charging around like, I think it was like $50, $40, $60. And of course, I had to go for the cheapest amount. So I think I was doing it for like $25 or $30 an hour. So I just tried to outcost them because I tried to outprice them because I thought that this is how much I'm worth. Me personally, that's how much I'm worth. And this is because of my past. Because that's how I've seen people around me act. My family, my friends, everybody acted this way. They always tried to go for the safest option so that, if I don't coach that well, then I can be like, but it's only $25. It's, you can't complain. It's just cope. They want the easier path. So I did that for a long time until I started healing my trauma, until I started to realize my own value. Because I realized these people that I'm teaching, they're becoming really good. They're genuinely becoming better than me sometimes. I'm not even kidding in certain things. And I thought like, I'm literally changing the lives of this person to the point where he can literally spend his whole life walking around the world, being able to beat up anyone he wants. Being able to beat up most people. So it's worth way more than this. After a while, since I realized my worth, just like all these white girls and these hijabis, I decided that I'm going to raise my prices from $25 an hour to $100 an hour. And guess what? I got more clients. More satisfied, better results. Because firstly, they were like, this guy's charging $100. He must be good. So they came to me because I seemed more legit. And because I was doing that, I was teaching them better because mentally I wasn't constrained anymore. I was like, bro, this guy's paying me $100. I'm going to teach him all my secrets, not holding anything back. So how do you see how this benefits everyone? It's not a scam, it benefits everyone. And when I did this, a bunch of low-life, crabs in a bucket, pussy-ass people tried to call me a scammer. So all my clients are satisfied, but these retards who've never done anything with their life, they come along and say, you're charging too much, you didn't even win a world championship, or you can't do this. I got messages, I got threats from the martial arts community, people I knew around. They said they were going to come fight me because I wasn't qualified enough. And those exact people started the martial arts gym and it got closed down because they didn't have enough clients. So that's why they were angry. And I told them, I don't give a damn, I'll do what I want. Because I wasn't scared of them, because I'm a G again. Wallahi, this is a true story. People were looking to beat me up. That's how insecure people are. But okay, I'm going to stop bragging about myself. Do you understand how I changed my worth from $25 an hour to $100 an hour? Just because I overcame my trauma. This is exactly what you need to do. You need to figure out what your time is worth. And I can guarantee you it's most likely worth more than $25 an hour. But let's just roll back a bit because most people won't even have the balls to ever start an MMA tutoring business, no matter how much you train, no matter how much you win. Because guess what? Every time you win, there will be someone that's a lot better than you. And you're going to say, how can I teach MMA when everyone can go to this guy and learn from him and he's like 10 times better than me? There will always be someone better than you. So you might as well just go for it. And this relates to one of the other decisions that I made that you know very well of, which is starting my YouTube channel. Now, everybody procrastinates this because they feel like they're not smart enough, they don't have enough experience to start a YouTube channel. And I felt like that for a long time until I overcame my trauma. I had no idea and didn't imagine in my wildest fantasies that I could be the type of person who would hit 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't believe it because I've been a loser my whole life. I was that kid at school who never achieved anything, last place in all sports days, the worst grades. I'm not the worst, but I was always at the bottom tier. I never thought this was possible. But I hit it pretty easily. I'll be honest, I hit 1,000 subscribers, it was easy. But when I was making those videos, my family told me I wasn't educated, I wasn't experienced, I was too young to be able to start a YouTube channel. Then how do I explain all these messages I get from people saying I changed their life? People saying that they've learned so much from me. People saying they started like MMA, they started praying because of me. How do they explain that? They will still explain it somehow. Oh, you're scamming them. This is how people are. People are crabs in the bucket. Everyone's trying to pull you down. You need to be a G and just knock them out and keep moving forward. Not literally, of course. Nobody is qualified to do anything. This is the last thing I was going to mention. Because everybody has this idea that, I would do this, but I'm not qualified. I don't have a degree. I don't have experience. This is the biggest lie ever told. Because I'll tell you a secret. Nobody who's ever done anything great was qualified to do it. Nobody. Because that's why it's something great. And everybody told those people they're not qualified to do it. Very, very quick example. Einstein. I know it's super random, but just hear me out. Einstein got really, really trash grades at school. And when he went to uni for physics or whatever, he was one of the worst students. When he started trying to come up with this formula of space, whatever the hell it was, his teacher said that he was too arrogant and some low-grade student trying to, create this formula for the universe is really stupid, and he basically shamed him in front of the whole school and kicked him out or something. That's what he did. So Einstein was a trash student. He couldn't even graduate university at this point. But he just decided one day, I'm going to start thinking. He just started thinking about these trains and about the gravity and the force of nature. And then one day he just came out with this formula. And everybody thought he was stupid. Who's this loser? Why would he say that? He can't even graduate university. So nobody listened to him. And then when the eclipse happened, they realized that he was actually right. And that he was known as this genius from there on. So do you understand? Nobody's qualified to do anything, and everybody will always try to pull you down whenever you decide to go for something. It's just law of nature, because everyone's a pussy. People are like magnets. Do you understand? The positive is if you hang out with good people, they'll raise you up, right? Because people are magnets. They'll raise you up with them. But then if you try to go high with them, they'll pull you down because they're magnets. That's why you need new friends to attract you back, and you keep needing new friends. Otherwise, you just keep going down. And sometimes this means you have to stop listening to your family. Sometimes it means you have to move out from your house and go live by yourself or with your wife and then get these things done. Because if you never overcome this trauma, I don't care how much money you're making. I don't give a damn who you are. You cannot succeed. Impossible. You'll always be so close to succeeding, and subconsciously you'll somehow screw it up. I can guarantee you. So you need to learn to overcome this. Now, if you want to learn how to do this, I'll be making a podcast about this very soon. But do me a favor, share this podcast around, because I'm really trying to grow, and if I don't get any views, I'll obviously start making podcasts. So show me some support. Share around with your friends, someone who needs it, people in your family, your brothers, cousins, or whatnot. And yeah, man, I'm not going to get into the whole YouTube ban stuff, but I'll probably talk about it in the next podcast. Thank you very much for watching. You're an absolute legend for watching a video this long about some random ass topic like trauma. You are in the top 1% of people for learning about this.